excited. I'm excited for a couple of reasons. A, the government didn't shut down. So I get to lose some of my federal folks as speakers. Two, the hurricane hasn't hit yet, so that's good. But most importantly is to be able to collaborate and to really pull together some great brain power in all of our sessions and the whole audience to try to figure out exactly how we can kind of move forward in making students of all grade levels more cyber aware, and also to try to get more of these students into careers in the cybersecurity field. So I'm very excited about that. And thank you for some of the students also sharing out. Some other logistics, I want to make sure that we thank our supporters. So NICE, which is the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education, that's housed out in NIST, National Institute of Standards and Technology, through a National Science Foundation grant, the National CyberWatch Center, also Capital Technical University. We also want to make sure that during the breakout times that you have a chance to maybe meander around in the lobby area. We have some great exhibitors. So we have Life Journey, the Situate Girls, we have the FTC, we have the Cyber Innovation Center, NSA, Radford University, UMUC, Capital Technology University, and many more. I apologize if I did leave someone out there. Hagerstown Community College as well, and Smarts. So let's begin by first, I'll introduce to you Rodney Peterson, who is, he is the lead for the national, let me get my notes here. Here we go. He's the lead for the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education. He's also the former president and CEO of Educational Policy and Leadership. Before that, he was a senior policy analyst with EDUCAUSE and also founded the EDUCAUSE Cybersecurity Initiative. And prior to that, he was a director of IT policy and planning in the office of the vice president and the chief information officer at University of Maryland. And Rodney, I'm not going to go any further back than that, but I first met Rodney when we were both at University of Maryland. So we both have been very passionate about this particular topic. So I'm going to turn it over to you to say a few words.
Thank you, Davina, and welcome everyone. I'm truly delighted to be here and really to serve as a person on behalf of both the federal government, but also specifically the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education, to welcome you to the inaugural National K-12 Cybersecurity Education Conference. So thank you for participating, and again, it's my pleasure to be here. This conference and this event is particularly important to NICE for reasons you'll hear about in a moment, but we truly believe that getting our nation's youth interested in cybersecurity careers and getting them prepared for STEM careers generally is very important to our nation, and that events like this and the efforts you're making in your schools, and whether you're a teacher, a student, an administrator, a policymaker, are extremely important. I wanted to just quickly give you a few items of overview about NICE in case you're not familiar with it, just so you have this context going forward the rest of this week and in your roles back at your home institutions. As our name implies, we're a national initiative. That's particularly significant for me because even though I welcome you on behalf of the federal government, NICE is intended to be a partnership between academia, industry, and government, including nonprofit organizations as well. And so you, whether you're affiliated with an academic institution, state, local government, whatever your role might be, is as much a part of NICE as the federal government itself is. As I indicated, it's a partnership between public and private sector, public including federal government, state government, local governments, private sector, including not only industry, but certainly including academia and nonprofit organizations as well. NICE has been in existence since 2010, and actually many of the activities and initiatives preceded that. But there are several existing successful programs that we want to strengthen and build upon, as well as we want to facilitate change and innovation and try to think differently about how we solve this national challenge, if you will. And so one of the things that I've been challenged to do in my first few months since leaving the private sector, coming into this government position, is to try to provide some leadership and strategic vision on behalf of this national initiative. And myself and the staff and the others that are part of this team are really working hard to do that. But finally, and most importantly, aside from the particular strategy and tactics that we're going to be setting forward in the coming months, is to build it around a value system that really promotes communication, collaboration, inclusion, as well as building a culture of evidence, and then leading to actions and results. We're really committed to trying to make a difference and making a difference both collectively as well as individually. I won't go into all the details of the types of activities and programs that are loosely affiliated or collectively considered to be part of NICE. But for example, there are the ATE centers that are primarily at community colleges spread throughout the country, funded by the National Science Foundation. We also have the Centers of Academic Excellence that both the Department of Homeland Security and the National Security Agency support. I see a couple representatives out in the audience that represent those Centers of Academic Excellence. Happy to have them here as well. The National Science Foundation also funds a Cyber Corps or Scholarship for Service program, which will allow students to have part of their college tuition paid for in return for federal service. And I think that program will become increasingly important over the years as we try to increase the federal government's capacity and ability to deal with the cybersecurity challenges of the future. In a moment, I'll introduce Life Journey more specifically, but through a cooperative agreement with Life Journey, there's an annual conference event, an expo known as the NICE Annual Conference this year, NICE 2015, that will be held next month in San Diego. I suspect many of you have maybe participated in the past because in its first 6 years it was locally in Maryland, quite often held at the NIST campus. But our goal over the next several years is to move it around the country because, as I indicated, this is both a national initiative as well as we want to highlight the great things happening across the country. So this year in San Diego, next year probably somewhere in the central United States. Obviously this event is a key part of our strategy and our effort to reach into the lives of children, starting in kindergarten all the way through elementary school, post-secondary school, and this conference to bring together both students and educators and administrators is an important initiative. Also, through a cooperation with the Department of Homeland Security, the NICE framework, or the National Cybersecurity Workforce Framework, is a way for us to standardize the workforce in both a way to help employers make sense of the cybersecurity jobs, competencies, knowledge, skills, abilities, and the like that are needed for their workforce. Also for job seekers to understand the kind of cybersecurity careers that are out there. But in between all the education providers, whether they're schools, colleges, universities, training providers, certification providers, how to map the knowledge, skills, abilities so that students are appropriately prepared. If you're not familiar with that framework, I highly encourage you to attend a session, I believe later today at 5 o'clock, where Ben Scribner from the Department of Homeland Security will be here talking about it in more detail. A newly funded effort on our behalf is the NICE Challenges Project, which is run out of Cal State University in San Bernardino, which is an effort to take the NICE framework and build some challenges for students or others to be able to test their knowledge and skills against some real life problems, some real everyday security challenges through a virtual kind of cyber-enabled environment. And then finally, we are also funding a jobs heat map through a grant to CompTIA as well as Burning Glass. There will be more announcements forthcoming about that. You may be familiar with Burning Glass's data about jobs, and particularly cybersecurity jobs, what the status is, the growth in jobs, as well as where they are located across the country, both on a state-by-state basis as well as a city and local basis. And we will be creating a virtualized map that will allow you to look at both the job or the demand side, but over time to also add information about the kinds of students or job seekers who are available to fill those jobs. So that's just a quick example or overview of some of the key programs and initiatives. So I just want to conclude by giving you a sense of our path forward and what some of our broad strategic priorities are. First is we want to accelerate learning and skills development. And quite frankly, we need to create a sense of urgency around this problem. Now, many of you, particularly I'm seeing a lot of students, you're going to be the workforce of the future. And even students who are entering community colleges or four-year schools are going to enter the workforce 2 years, 4 years, maybe longer from now. But there's a demand here today that we need to solve. And a lot of you in the room, a lot of private industry partners and others are going to allow to help us to create that sense of urgency and move more quickly to filling some of those national needs. Secondly, is we want to nurture a diverse learning community. And diversity in the broadest sense of the word, not only diversity in terms of minorities and more women and more veterans and others in the workforce, but diversity in terms of the type of educational institutions that will contribute, the type of training providers that will contribute, the ways that students and others will learn throughout their lifetime. And finally, we want to help guide career development as well as workforce planning, helping both job seekers as well as employers and the service providers, if you will, the education training providers along the way, to make sure we're mapping toward a future that's both increasingly standardized and importantly strategic. So just a quick flavor of our general strategic directions, and I will be here throughout today and tomorrow. I'd love to engage with any of you during the breaks, or my last slide has my email address. Feel free to contact me by email or telephone, either to get feedback or input into our strategic direction, or to look for specific ways that we might partner together. But once again, welcome on behalf of NICE and the National Institute of Standards and Technology. It's my pleasure next to introduce Rick Garretts, who's the founder and CEO of LifeJourney. I only want to add that LifeJourney is one of those of many strategic partners with NICE. They, through a cooperative agreement, bring you the annual NICE conference that I referred to earlier, as well as the cyber education map. And I really have enjoyed working with Rick and his staff, who've been very supportive of our initiative. So, Rick Garretts.
I'm going to do the Mac on PC turn over there. Alrighty, good afternoon everyone. My name is Rick Garretts and I'm CEO and founder of a technology company based here in Maryland. And about 3 years ago I was standing in front of a high school group of seniors, about 30 of them in a classroom, and asked that question that all of us have been asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And 20 of them said, I don't know. 9 of them said, Dr. Lawyer, Ray Lewis, the 0-3 Ravens. And by the way, all my Pittsburgh Steelers friends call me Owen now, 0-3. And one student came forward and said, Mr. Garrett, it's really hard to answer what we want to be when we grow up, when it's really hard to connect what we're learning in the classroom to what we're going to be. So as Rodney talked about a little bit, depending on what report that you read, all of you are experiencing a moment in time that's extremely rare, right? Because there's hundreds of thousands of open and unfulfilled cybersecurity jobs. And they're not just all in IT, and they're not just all in computer science, because as soon as a company gets hacked, the first call goes out to an attorney, and then it goes out to an insurance company, it goes out to an accounting company. And cybersecurity is as much about financial risk as it is about technology. It's about social media, it's about mobility, it's about pattern matching. All of you in this room and everybody that contributes to this ecosystem is sitting in a moment in time that an entire industry has been formed around the new alphabet, which is technology, right? When I grew up, I'm 51, they taught me how to type. You all are sitting on the new alphabet, which is technology, and it's an amazing opportunity. So there's been studies, and I think with what Rodney and NIST is doing around this cyber jobs heat map, once you understand what you want to be when you grow up, the ability to click on a map and find out the company and the job and understand exactly what you need to do is key. So there's a lot of studies that are out there. I think that there's a big number. And the reason that I'm here today is that about 3 weeks ago there was a release of a website that I'm going to take you through right now. But I'm going to give you just 1 or 2 minutes of background, there's about 40 million students, right, that are inside, that are in 7th, 8th grade, high school, 2-year, 4-year universities, or in the workforce in general, right? And unfortunately, right now, most of them, if you say the word forensic analyst, or malware reverse engineer, or data scientist, or social media pattern analysts, them or their parents and a lot of teachers don't know what that actually means and how to put students, you know, on that pathway. So the technology that my company develops is we take the nation's cybersecurity leaders and we reverse engineer the journey they took to become successful, the hard skills and the soft skills. So soft skill means if you got to go into your CEO and tell them that their network has been hacked, you got to be able to do that, and that is an amazing conflict management soft skill. You also learn hard skills, you know, like coding, Python. You might learn nonlinear data science skills and so on. So what we've done is we've taken a set of NSA's leaders and we reversed engineered the journey they took to become successful, and we allow students in middle school, high school, and college to test drive what it would be like to be, for instance, an exploitation analyst, to be a data scientist, a cyber linguist, for instance. And the student gets to operate in an environment called the Cyber Threat Center. They are put in cyber situations where they have to make decisions, right? What should we do, and so on. The way it works is a student clicks on it, it pulls up you know, a little profile around the person, and then it'll play a short trailer, which I'll play for you here, and it explains that role.
Hi, I'm Adam Madison, and this is my journey. Bad actors on the internet are stealing our countries, companies, and citizens' money and inventions. More than 50% say they have had more than one breach. I've always dreamed of helping my country. I wanted to track down clues, piece things together, and now I'm working on the front lines through cybersecurity. I am Adam, and this is my journey.
So students first go through an experience called cyber ideation, where they get to experience a bunch of different careers and paths that they haven't seen before. And then what happens is the Life Journey mentor will take them through what's called field trips. Like, for instance, a soft skill that all of you probably know in this room is your online conduct, right? So this is a field trip where you connect your Facebook account to Clearable. It'll entity extract everything you've posted and simulate a top secret security clearance based on what you've posted online. And then you get to know friends that you may or may not want to keep friends with, but it will also teach you a little bit about what your online conduct can impact your future, right? So as a parent of a 16-year-old, this is really important. But you're also, if you're going to teach data science, do data science on you, right? They're called field trips. All this accumulates into a dynamically generated resume called the cyber resume, that when you pick who your favorite is, you know, the cyber linguist, the data scientist, and so on, it'll list out all the hard skills, all the soft skills, and then a step-by-step process of what you need to become that person. And you actually go on the journey, right, and the pathway of that person. Teachers in the classrooms at CAE schools, community colleges, high schools, get to see a roll-up. What was number one? What was number two? Because we actually map what's taught in the classroom to the journey of the cybersecurity leaders. And then ultimately, the goal is to introduce 40 million students to the world of cybersecurity, and then hopefully connecting into Rodney into the NICE jobs map. You can test drive your future, and then right afterwards, you can actually see opportunities for you. So I'm going to end with this little movie, and then I'm going to hand it back over to Davina.
American innovation is experiencing a defining moment. This moment has created an opportunity like no other opportunity ever seen before. An opportunity that will define our future. An opportunity that will redefine an entire generation. The NSA Day of Cyber, a web-based interactive experience that enables students to test drive their future by experiencing a day in the life of NSA's cyber leaders. This online experience introduces students to the world of cyber and the STEM skills needed to connect them to these in-demand digital careers. The NSA Day of Cyber. Pre-register today and discover your future. Imagine the challenge. Imagine the opportunity.
So as I mentioned in the short video, this is a program completely funded by NSA. It's free to schools, parents, teachers, organizations that want to connect cybersecurity, and its job is to inspire, educate, and connect what is being taught in the classroom and in the industry to these skills. So with that said, Davina, I think I will hand it back over to you.
Okay, and I should mention, or Rick, help clarify, the Day of Cyber is not a day. It's, tell us what it is.
Yeah, it can run all year long, but it usually runs over the course of many weeks, but we sort of model it after the hour of code.
Okay.
That's the same thing.
So you'll be able to register and then tap into it at any time, not just at one particular day.
That's right. Thank you.
All right, excellent. So our keynote speaker is someone very special. Renee Forney is the Executive Director for Cyber Skills Management Support Initiative at Department of Homeland Security, and she supports the Undersecretary for Management for Cybersecurity, as well as having over 20 years experience in both IT and project management. And she's an instrumental figure in the field of cybersecurity, especially with the strategic management, figuring out the needs of the cybersecurity workforce. When I asked if Renee could come and speak, I said, I don't want to wear my welcome because I have her speak at so many things, but she is absolutely phenomenal, and very honored to have all of you, Rick, Rodney, and Renee, but I'm going to turn it over to Renee now, and she will enlighten you, I'm sure.
We can do a little bit better than that. They often say that those of us in technology don't talk. And we know that that's just a myth, right? So let's try this again. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. There you go. Okay, great. So first of all, thank you to Davina and her other partners for allowing me to be here and share with you all today. One of, I think, the greatest parts of my job is having the opportunity to speak to students. So to the students, I want to say thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I have teenagers, so I know they're very busy. And so I want to thank you all for your time. My title, the Executive Director of the Cyber Skills Management Support Initiative, is a mouthful. So just allow me to bore you for a second with exactly what that whole title is all about. The Department of Homeland Security stood up a task force, and that task force looked at some of the challenges that the department was facing from a hiring perspective, from a recruitment perspective, all related to the cyber workforce. And one of the key focus items that came out of it was growing and expanding the pipeline of talent within the department. I thought that that was going to be the easiest part of what I had to deal with, only to realize that, hey, I thought I could just go out and say, hey, students, come work for DHS. But guess what I realized? As I went across the country and I started talking to colleges and universities and talking to the students, I realized they had no idea what we did at DHS. So really quickly, let me give you a snapshot into our world at the Department of Homeland Security. If I say Secret Service, those of you all who watch the news probably will think something else, but when I say Secret Service to the students, what first comes to mind? Either one of the students. Protecting the president. So everyone is very, very familiar with the protective details associated with the U.S. Secret Service. But guess what? They have the legal authority to protect our financial infrastructure. And most people don't know that. So they have a very robust financial cybercrime protection division. And so when you hear about breaches such as Target and others, and Home Depot, others of that magnitude, Secret Service is behind the scenes helping to fight that crime. When I say ICE, what do you think about? Customs and Immigration Enforcement. What's the first thing that comes to mind? Adults? Let's help out students. Checking out borders. Okay. That's fair. Guess what? They don't just do that. They actually have a very robust Homeland Security Investigation Division that helps to fight child exploitation. They help to fight transnational crime. Our Customs and Border Patrol, which helps to protect our border. A lot of people don't think about the border being the sky as well. So any of us who've done international travel, you probably ran across one of our CBP agents. So they help protect and make sure that certain goods and or technologies that are not supposed to go or come in and out of this country don't move in and out of this country. U.S. Coast Guard. When I say U.S. Coast Guard, what do you think about? I'm drowning, come save me, something like that. Most people don't think about the goods that come in and out of this country. Our transportation system and the role that the U.S. Coast Guard plays in that. Well, guess what, students? There's a career within all of that for you. And that career, just to piggyback off of something that Rick says, it not only encompasses the hardcore technical skills, but it also encompasses those other soft skills that we need you to have. When there is a major cyber incident, it is not just your folks with the hardcore technical skills that are called upon to support that. There's also the attorneys, your procurement people that are also brought to bear. So if we have some business administration majors that sort of kind of like cyber, that might be a good opportunity for them. The department spends quite a bit of time in developing cyber policy as well. We also have a directorate called NPPD, which is our National Protection Directorate. And that directorate has a responsibility for protecting the .gov and also has a very robust cyber policy division within there. They also focus very closely on our infrastructure, the infrastructure that we all depend on to support our daily lives, our water, our gas, all of those things that help make us comfortable. Well, guess what? The systems that run most of them are old, archaic IT systems. So we need people, young people like yourselves, as a part of that career field. So, I want to talk a little bit about cyber ethics. Cyber ethics, for most of us in the workspace, we focus on cyber policy, doing the right things and that thing. But for our students, I want you to think about it as a part of your daily lives. Because one of the things that I see most often done by our students is that they live out their lives completely online. So if you take an old person like me, and you think about my life, only a very short portion of my life will be able to find anything online about me. You take my 89-year-old grandmother, you will hardly find anything about her online. Think of yourselves and fast forward to my age. Your entire life will be online. So you need to think. Think very carefully. As you're thinking and you're speaking through the stream of consciousness, all of that does not need to go online. To piggyback off of something else Rick talked about. He talked about being clearable. Being clearable in the cybersecurity world is a very important thing. Because most of the jobs that we hold in this space, we have to be clear to do it. I keep looking at one of my counterparts here at DOD, who I spent most of the afternoon in a skip with, and we had to be clear to be in that skip, correct? There you go. So, students, I just want you to be mindful, be very mindful about how you live out your lives in this digital age. Now I want to talk a little bit about digital literacy. One of the things that I see as a constant is that our young people, as well as ourselves, as adults, have multiple gadgets. I don't know about you, but I know my teenager, we will probably have to surgically remove her cell phone. We love our gadgets. Each one of us in here probably have 2 to 3 mobile technology gadgets that we depend on, that we really depend on in order to carry out our daily lives. Now, that being said, if we're living in a world where we're that dependent on these mobile devices, don't you think that there's a career path that we would have to go into to be able to support those and to support all of the things that come with that? Now, one of the things that I'm seeing is that as you have all of these gadgets, and the kids are the quickest to learn. Whatever new comes out, they get it just like that, right? You want to know something quick, just ask the student. Well, I want to see students move from just the consumers of the technology to understanding what's happening behind the scenes with that technology. We want to increase the digital literacy of our students, of our community at large, because I believe our parents at home who support these students need to increase their digital literacy as well. Now, how can we do that? The CyberWatch program is a perfect example of the things that they do across the country to help build digital literacy in communities. There are numerous other programs that I've had the opportunity to see. And let today be a call to action for those of us who are parts of those programs to make sure that we do have a focus on building that digital literacy. As Rick said, we started out typing. Someone said years ago, I think typing needs to be mandatory. And for most of the adults in here, typing was mandatory and we took it. It was a part of our core curriculum. Educators, I hope you agree with me on this, but I believe that cyber needs to be a part of our core curriculum. How can something that we deal with day in, day out, that is so woven into our day-to-day lives, not be a part of our core curriculum? Not having a basic understanding of how certain things work. For example, tagging. Students, you all tag all the time, don't you? Go out, tag your friends, right? How things like that in their daily lives. I also want to make sure that we help our students, and this is to our educators, we help our students connect the dots between sitting in the classroom, taking certain courses, and then figuring out what are they going to do with that course. How do they get there? Life Journey is one way to help show. But we have to begin to open up our doors and communicate with our students in such a way and allow them to see what's in that new workspace. So, you saw the video that showed man landing on the moon. For some of us in here, you remember when way back in the day, they would wheel the big TV into the classroom and we would watch the rockets launch, right? Right? Okay. Anybody in here that shook their head and laughed, I know what age range you're in. So, but that's how we saw. That's where I first saw technology. And I was amazed. I didn't understand everything that they were doing. I saw people sitting in front of these big computers and these big screens, and I was completely amazed. How can we expect these students to be amazed if we don't give them an opportunity to see what's there? So at the department, when I started to run into the problem of them not knowing what we were doing, I started a program called the Cyber Student Volunteer Initiative. And that volunteer initiative brings students in from across the country and allows them to work in our fusion centers and in our field offices across the country so they can see firsthand. They sit side by side with a mobile technologist or forensics analyst, a cyber intelligence or intrusion specialist. They get to see and learn firsthand so that when they walk out of the door, they know, oh, this is a possibility for me. This is how the dots are connected. This is why this math class is important. This is why this science class is important. So if I leave you with nothing else today, let today be a call to action to our industry partners and to our world of academia, that we work together, we open up our doors, so that students can have the opportunity to see. I believe if students have the opportunity to see and get exposure to what is there, it'll help them. It'll bring that wow factor. That's what I always call it back at the office. Whenever I talk about DHS, I said, I want to bring a wow factor of DHS. I want them to see what we do every day. I want them to see that we save X amount of children from child exploitation. I want them to see that we've used our cyber forensics and mobile technologies to save the victims from this particular crime or to find a perpetrator of a particular crime. So with that said, Davina, I want to go ahead and turn this back over to you. I know it's a long journey. I should have gave you a heads up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I really want to thank you guys today, and I want to thank CyberWatch for the great work that they